Hey guys, what to do? It's your boy Supreme here to God. Make sure to leave a like. Please, we need those likes, man. God damn. Is your cross energy that weak? Are you a fraud, bro? Are you a fraud? Cause hey, if you can't like the video, you a fraud, bro. The real ones got that cross energy to press that like, my boy. Anyways, let's get into it. I wanted to talk about what if Jujutsu Kaisen had a live action. And let's say I was the director. Supreme, the God was the director for Jujutsu Kaisen. How would I do it? You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about it. Season one, right? We're gonna begin with season one, and the protagonist for season one will be Gojo, right? So it'll be kind of like Game of Thrones ish vibes, where you get different perspectives, right? Where you know kind of like different POVs. But season one predominantly would be Gojo and Yuta, right? And I will start the story with like an intro, kind of like Game of Thrones season one, where you get the White Walkers, but you're gonna get Sukuna, a glimpse of Sukuna with his forearms, Hain era, you know what I'm saying? And he's in a bat, he's just after like murking hella motherfuckers, and he's standing there victorious, you know what I'm saying? And you get that, and then he like zooms in, and it's Gojo Six Eyes, right? And listen, I'm freestyling this by the way, you know what I'm saying? Just to let you know. But excuse me, I had a thought during work, when the idea came to me, and I kind of had like a rough thought of how I'm gonna start it. But yeah, so it zooms into Gojo's Six Eyes. So it goes from, you know, Sukuna's crazy like six eyes. He has what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eyes, right? To Gojo 6, 8 eyes, or whatever many eyes he has, to Gojo 6 eyes as a kid, right? And you get that Gojo as a kid, and you're gonna get a little bit of him as a child and being born, and you know, you get the narration of when Gojo was born, the world shifted, da 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 da, as he's walking with his parents, and he stops and he looks back, but it doesn't show you who he looks back at, right? It just stops and he looks back, right? And the story is gonna go in order. So instead of how, you know, the manga is, you know, you get from here to there, you get flashbacks. The story is going to be more linear. You're still going to get some flashbacks, but it's going to be way more linear. So you get, you know, that first episode is that, then him joining Jujutsu High. So it's kind of like an anthology. Episode 1 is like an anthology all the way until he's a teenager, right? And that's where episode 1 ends. Maybe he's you know, he learns about the Gojo family traits and kind of the roles of being, you know, since he's gonna be the head, you know, you kind of see how he's treated differently and looked at differently, and yada yada yada, and how he becomes like the cocky brat that he is, because everybody sees him as special, as attractive, as tall, as everything. He's like the perfect specimen, right? Episode 2, you got Ghetto, right? They meet in Jujutsu High. So this part is not even gonna be available in the manga, of course, because we gotta, you know, add layers to it. And you can kind of see them butting heads, and somebody that actually challenges him in his own age range, right? And you know, you get to know the principal a bit more, and his curse technique a bit more. We're gonna throw a flashback somewhere, you know, about him creating Panda and all of them, just for foreshadowing sake, right? Because Panda and them weren't not there yet, right? So we're kind of going to learn a bit about the principal. We're going to get to know him a little bit, since he's going to be the teacher, right? Or the team captain, the teacher. And so he's going to be sending them on missions, and you kind of get to see Gojo learn his abilities. You kind of see this guy's kind of broken, he's kind of OP, and this is important that you feel that way, you know what I'm saying? He's kind of broken, he's kind of OP. And then, you know, episode 3, right, is, again, we're going really fast here, but these episodes will be like an hour long, so you really get to delve and get into these characters. It kind of be Marco Polo season 1 pace a little bit, when it comes to like the verbiage and how the dialogue will work. It'll be very dialogue heavy, a lot of it, but you'll get action, of course, you know, curse spirits, all of that shit. Then episode 3 is very important, because it's half of six sides, you know what I'm saying? Episode 3, we get to the hidden inventory arc, right? Excuse me. At this point, you get to know Gojo's character. You probably don't even like him that much. You're like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And then he meets. They're doing the hidden inventory. That happens in what? Let's say 2 episodes. Hidden inventory is 2 episodes. So you know hidden inventory. So I don't really have to explain it. But then you get the Toji flashback in, you know, when Gojo turns around, that you got in episode 1, you get that in episode 5. You know what I'm saying? And instead of him having that thought process, Toji's gonna think of Gojo and the six eyes, and then he's gonna get that. So episode 4 and 5 kind of focus the hidden inventory arc would actually focus a lot on Toji, and obviously a lot on Gojo and Ghetto and the whole Star Plasma vessel, right? Um, and then episode 6, we jump ahead to kind of like the manga or the anime. We jump ahead to him versus it's actually Ghetto's episode. Episode 6 is Ghetto's episode, right? And that whole episode you get to see his transition, because during these episodes when Ghetto is introduced, you get to know more about him. You're gonna get him by himself, etc. Episode 6, it's Ghetto's story and how he feels after Gojo becomes so powerful and yada yada yada. And this is a good point to not focus on Gojo here, because from here we're not really going to focus on Gojo, right? So he's like this transition episode again, 6, very important. So then Ghetto goes on his journey, finds out everything about the wizarding world. I was going to say the sorcerers and cursed spirits and humans. Has that conversation with Yuki, and boom, right? We meet Yuki. Right, we're gonna hear about Yuki at some point when Gojo first joins Jujutsu High. He's gonna hear about Yuki and her being a special grade, and that you should aspire to be that strong, but don't be like her because she doesn't do missions and da 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 da. You get those details so that when Yuki comes through, you're like expecting this awesome character. And boom, Yuki's there, has a conversation with Ghetto. Ghetto goes, and the episode ends with Ghetto, freeing the two girls, right? Freeing the two girls, and kind of like in the anime, and then murking the whole village, right? And then the next episode begins with Gojo confronting him, and Gojo ultimately deciding not to kill him halfway through the episode, right? And this is important, halfway through the episode, and then Gojo sitting down, and he has the whole dialogue about creating stronger, getting strong allies, because he can't do it all alone. And then the next episode 8, we have Yuta, right? And maybe this episode, we have Yuta, and you get the whole Rika story. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 here. You get the whole Yuta story, and this time you get a lot more time with Yuta and Rika, right? Yeah, like episode 8, you get like a lot of time with the two of them. And they're hanging out, they're having fun, they're little kids, and it's a full flashback, of course. And as that's happening, actually, could you interlace Yuta's story? See, I'd have to know the timing. If I knew, the exact years, but I don't think the years match up, because Gojo's only like 29, and Yuta is now like 17. So when Gojo was like 17, Yuta was probably still very young. Actually, I could have that happening simultaneously, but I don't know. Maybe pacing wise, it might be hard. But I might be able to have Yuta story with Rika hanging out happening in between, because Yuta is in hospital for a lot of his childhood. I could always change the years around to make it fit. So maybe from like episode 6, maybe 5, you would get those episodes. From there, you start getting Yuta, because Yuta is going to be relevant later. So you can see, and maybe you can even have a few flashes of a kid in a hospital. And then they meet episode 7, 8. I don't know, from 7, 8, one of those. But we meet, and the two get along because they're both sick and they're both dying, but then they both heal together, and they're both super close friends. And that's like a whole episode, just them getting to know each other, being friends. And obviously you get flashes of like Gojo doing stuff, you get flashes of the principal, you get flashes of Ghetto, kind of mowing people and doing his crazy shit and becoming more and more unhinged, but also him unwilling to hurt sorcerers. And you get to know more about his two adopted kids, and you learn a bit more about them as well while Yuta's story is happening. So it's not just like a boring Yuta story as a child, then episode 8 or 9, Yuta and Rika again, that's still happening in the background. We get Gojo, maybe meeting Maki and them. You get Maki and them and Panda and all of those guys being more relevant here. So obviously there's a time skip at some point here. But you get, we kind of time skip a little bit to the year Utah loses Rika, and you get maybe Maki in the Zenin clan and her being mistreated happening, right? You begin that there. You get, obviously you get Megumi's story with the hidden inventory, right? So I don't need to really mention him as much, but you kind of get flashes of Gojo with Megumi doing things, maybe going on that mission where he saves Hana. That could happen here. This is because then it's relevant way later, and Hana kind of falls in love here and is thankful and grateful forever from here. So that would be cool. And then, I think it's like, if you look at Game of Thrones, it may sound confusing now, but if you look at Game of Thrones, there's like so many characters and so many stories happening simultaneously, and it's so fantastic until obviously they drop the ball. But yeah, so then that happens. You get all these things happening simultaneously. Episode 10 we say. Then is when Rika dies. Rika dies in episode 10, right? Because this is in episode 9, 10. Yeah. So you get the year where the accident happens, but she dies at the end of the episode. Actually, she dies at the end of episode 9. And then episode 10, obviously we get, at the end of 9, actually, the curse, Rika, the curse kind of becomes active. Episode 10, we kind of see how that affects his life and how he has this negative energy and he's just unhappy, sullen. And in between, again, you get more Gedo, you get more Gojo, you get the principal. You even get pieces of Tengen, and the Star Plasma Vessels fiasco. You get a little bit, maybe not Tengen. Actually, we leave Tengen out of it because I think the mystery around Tengen is kind of nice. Maybe we do a bit of Yuki, lore, like verbal lore about Yuki and her powers and stuff, all of that. And then the next episode is 0, right? Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and that's when Yuta joins the school. That could be a whole episode. Him joining the school, learning, going on his first few missions. Episode 11 or 12, 6, right, is when he fights Gedo, wins, gets rid of Rika technically, and all that jazz happens then, right? And then you get quite a lot. That's season 1, right? That's season 1. And we end in 12 episodes. I think that's perfect. We end in 12 episodes and a lot happens. And now you're like, no Yuji? And that's the beauty of season 2, because then season 2 you can start again, 6 episodes, 12. So the beauty of season 2 is you can begin with Yuji and the school and the courses and all of that jazz. You know what I'm saying? And you even in between episode 1 and 12, you get like a little bit of verbiage about the Sukuna fingers and the curse energies kind of popping up here and there. They're like, yeah, those fingers get stronger over time, and you learn little details, just little inklings throughout, sprinkle just a little bit. And then season 2 will delve into that. But if you guys really like this video and want me to continue and talk about season 2 and how would I direct it and what I would talk about and stuff like that, just leave a like. If the video gets enough likes, I will 100% do it. So yeah, like this video up a ton and I will do more. Anyway, it's been your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you got the curse energy. I'm out.